So just so
Yeah,
we,
go live. If it sucks, we can erase it.
yes,
Yeah, let's go live.
yeah. So I guess we're live on Odyssey
I
right
think
now.
voice only. Yeah, voice only is fine. Most people don't look at the screen anyway.
Yes.
So, student ready to go down to Okinawa. But I've noticed even in the Kansai region, which is like Nara, Kyoto, Osaka, a massive increase in U.S. troops.
Oh, you mean
A lot
rapists?
of,
Oh no, no, that's.
uh,
Oh.
well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Most of the U.S. troops behave themselves very well, but there's that half% of them who, yeah, they're rapists. It makes them all look bad.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't
When you
mean
get a
to.
large concentration, well, I'm just telling you how it is. You get a large concentration of 18, 19-year-old guys, with the stress of,
Yeah,
being in the military, and then the bases are surrounded by hookers, basically, from China. And you mix alcohol in. Some point during the year, somebody's going to get raped or accused of it, or, unfortunately.
yes.
And there are more rapes by U.S. servicemen in Japan than by Japanese people, even though they're outnumbered, by millions. So that shows you something. We've had more attacks from monkeys than people in Yamaguchi. That's a real thing. It's hilarious and sad at the same time, but I guess we've had kind of a heat wave. It's been in the 90s, not a lot of water, whatever, all day long. Not just the middle of the day, like all day. It's like 91, 93 degrees, which is like, I don't know, 38 or something for you guys that do the communist scale. And these monkeys have come into the town and they've injured like 50 people, 55 people, biting them on the legs. And they're knocking trash cans over and throwing bikes up in the air and in the street and stuff. So a bunch of monkeys are stealing bikes and knocking over trash and assaulting and scratching and biting people. One of them got shot by a cop, but these people don't have guns. And so if you have a pack of monkeys, I forgot what you call them. Is it a troop? Is that what they're called? Whatever.
Uh,
A group of monkeys. So it's a weird counting system, right? All these different types of animals get different names. I know like a murder of crows,
uh,
a flock of geese.
Ironically, in the media, they refer to them as a gang, but I'm not gonna.
A gang. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think gorillas are called a congress. A congress of gorillas. Yeah, so a gang of monkeys are just, they've taken over part of a town. I mean, they just go ahead and do whatever they want because they're monkeys. And if you don't have guns, you can't really fight a gang of monkeys, right? They'll mess you up. They're faster, they're stronger, they have teeth, claws, they're wild, and so if they go into a building, there isn't much you can do to get rid of them. Try and scare them. Somebody shot fireworks at them. They left temporarily and then returned. So it reminds me of like the movie Gremlins. All the gremlins are running around breaking stoplights and just raising hell. Except it's a bunch of monkeys. And except for the one, I guess one of them got shot or whatever, but they were hesitant to let you not, they don't want to just go shoot all the monkeys. Like even monkeys have some degree of rights, whatever. But I don't know what the plan is. What are we gonna do? Gas them? Like what? How do you get rid of these monkeys? But yeah, we had more crimes from animals than people in that prefecture. And then there's some dolphin in Fukushima, and that is where they've been dumping the radioactive water, right? That has just lost it, and it's attacked like 40 people or something, where it just rams them or throws them up in the air. And I can't imagine that, man. If a dolphin got pissed at you when you're swimming, you're at their mercy.
oh yeah, those
It just- it
those
could bounce you
teeth.
around like a ball. Oh, I mean
Yeah.
they can get under you and like shoot you up in the air, catch you, throw you again if they want to. That's what they do to seals. They'll find a baby seal and they'll play with it like it's a beach ball, just passing it back and forth. But yeah, some dolphin. This is unusual. Dolphins never attack people, but this one in Fukushima is something wrong with it, and it is attacking swimmers and stuff. So monkeys and dolphins are causing more problems than the people.
Yeah, but enough of the monkey business. Let's get to the octogenarian business of Nancy Pelosi going to Taiwan. What on hell
While I was
was
just
she?
telling him, yeah, I was gonna get to that. I was just telling something while
P-
people come into the stream. So
yes.
it is hilarious though. Like a band of monkeys. I'm like, wow, it looks like Detroit. They stole all the bikes, knocked the trash over. It's like what human beings have done to cities like Detroit and Baltimore is what like a pack of 50 monkeys does to Yamaguchi. Isn't that weird?
Well, yeah, that's why I was
But what?
reluctant to use the word gang because of the ethnic considerations of that terminology.
Not a gang is any group of people. I guess I didn't know monkeys were also called gangs,
Well, I don't think they're
but
called
whatever.
gangs, but in the media they call them gangs. I don't think they use the animal specific name for their.
I thought it was a troop. It's not a troop.
Well, okay,
I
give me
thought
a few seconds and I will have an answer.
I don't know. Somebody looked it up. I thought it was a troop of monkeys, a congress of gorillas. I used to know these things. I know who would know. My middle son. He's asleep. But whatever they're called. Yeah. I don't know why you just can't say group for everything, but whatever.
Well,
The
okay,
troop.
okay. I've got from joyshouse.org. Monkeys is a
Hmm.
barrel or a troop. So you were correct.
Okay. All right. Well, there's a troop of monkeys roaming around in a town, and they are attacking people. 55 people injured from monkeys. One of the monkeys has been shot, dead. The rest are roaming around, raising hell. And it reminds me of the movie Gremlins. And I'm just thinking, like, when they say monkey, do they mean gingers?
Ooh.
It's hilarious. Like, isn't that funny? A bunch of monkeys just decided we're going into the city now. I guess they don't have enough water or whatever. There's some reason they're down there, and there's no way to stop them without guns. Like, here's another argument for firearms.
Well,
Unlikely, but what if?
well, well.
What if?
During the COVID lockdowns, there was a story about huge monkey street fights in Thailand because the tourists has gone away, which was a large source of sustenance for the monkeys. So they would just battle
Hmm.
it out for territory in the middle of Thailandese Thai intersections. Yes, the videos from
They're
that
just
are
called Thai.
incredible. Yes, Thai intersections. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know, like in Alaska, places like that, sometimes like a deer or even a bear will just go into a store. There's nothing you can do but wait for them to leave.
Well, Ryan,
Especially a bear.
did you know there is an island in Norway where all the citizens have applied to be legal gun owners?
Because of the animals or what?
It's the island is called Svalbard. It is the location of the International Seed Vault, where you store all the world's seeds in case of disaster, and it is also home to polar bears. And they instituted a new rule that said you had to have a firearms permit to be able to operate a firearm, which caused all the citizens to apply for a firearms permit because you need one of those when the
Yeah.
polar bears come around.
There's some place in Africa where the river split off and it cut this corner of land and it turned it into an island. And all the lions are massive because the only thing they have to hunt are water buffalo. And so even the female lions are as big as male lions usually, right? And they're just getting bigger and more badass because all they do is hunt buffalo all the time. Reminds me of American Indians. Like that was just the conditions. These cats, they ever get the river's really wide too. So they ever get across, it's gonna be a force to be reckoned with.
Can you
So this
call
could
the
be
island?
Taiwan.
Is that the WWE of islands?
Well, it's funny you say that because the WWF, the reason they changed to WWE was because of the World Wildlife Fund and nature, which I think really did were involved with that. But it's kind of yeah, it's if you look at pro wrestlers, most of them, especially before the wellness era, when they were all on steroids, they didn't look like normal human beings at all.
No, not at all.
About 300-pound people or more. Anyway, so I saw a lot of weird takes about Pelosi's visit. I hate Nancy Pelosi. She's the bitch that's they talked about Confederate statues. She was like, people do what they do. She's narcissistic. She's a drunk. She's like 82 years old. She slurs her speech. She can
Inside
hardly get.
trader. She's a famous
Oh
inside
yeah,
trader.
profiteer. She's a warmonger. Her whole family's inside traders. And she's woke and she's everything bad. She's probably the worst. She's probably the worst person in government right now. Worse than Biden. She's the worst. That being said, I don't have any love lost on Xi Jinping either. This guy is a bully, and China has so many problems. And I know a lot of people just look at it as like, oh, not America, therefore that's the good guys. No. And I know Ritter and a bunch of people had a meltdown saying we're about to go to war with China. They're mobilizing for an attack and they're going to invade Taiwan, whatever. I don't agree. I mean, it's not impossible. It's not like a stupid thing to say or anything. It's totally possible, but I don't agree. And the reason is it's too much to lose. Like China's about to get Taiwan anyway, politically. Last election, the pro-China party barely lost. The pro-Japan party won, but just barely. And so it could just be one or two election cycles away from their party getting in and unifying without a shot fired. So why roll the dice, right?
Yeah, it's basically a
It's the
50-50
US that
split.
wants to roll the dice, right? Well, right now, but it's close. And so, and I understand the arguments the Americans are making. Well, look what happened with Hong Kong. You said there'd be unified, but there'd be two systems, and there totally isn't. And uh, they're right when they say that, but that's not why they're criticizing them. US doesn't care about Hong Kong. They just hate China because it's a competitor. That's it. And Taiwan's all the other things have been said. Oh yeah, all the semiconductor, all true. But talking about war, I'm not one of these people that thinks China's going to do shit. I think it's a paper tiger. I think they moved around their military because they got a lot of domestic problems. This is a great distraction for China for their real estate bubble that they have and their COVID hysteria. And they go, oh, look, America, move the tanks, move the Navy, do some live action military drills. They put a couple sanctions on Taiwan on like two types of fish and I think and some citrus fruit or something. Nothing big. But it was a nice big distraction because who gives a damn if some 82-year-old hag with repeat plastic surgeries visiting Taiwan? Oh, what's that going to do? Make them independent? They kind of are anyway. I mean, even if you don't admit it,
Yeah.
they
I,
definitely have their own government, their own everything. Like, you're delusional.
well, I want to make a point here about like the people don't realize the economic integration between Taiwan and China. And to make that really easy for people to grapple with, I want to mention Foxconn, which is a Taiwanese company that is famous for having factories in China where they have like 300,000 workers in a separate town, and they have suicide nets, and that's where they assemble the iPhone. And that is a Taiwanese company, and Taiwan's economy is largely integrated with China. Taiwan has the skills, and China has the labor. And it is not.
China has the lack of labor laws too.
Yes, China has the lax environmental regulations and the like in China, when the representative from the union comes to your work, it's to tell you to get back to work. He doesn't help you
Mhm.
strike. That's that's not his role.
They also put some sanctions on natural sand, which is used in things like concrete. So, okay, citrus fruit, sand, and a couple types of fish. I think Taiwan will survive. They can't really push their buttons too much, or they'll cut them off from 54% of all semiconductors on Earth are out of Taiwan, 17% from Korea, and the rest are from the US and Japan. So, yeah,
Well,
don't poke the go
yeah,
ahead.
and even if you go one step lower, like 90% of the silicone sand used for semiconductors is from one mine in North Carolina. So the US could cut off both Taiwan and China from semiconductor silicone, and they would have to find a replacement, which is not easy. Um,
It's cutting your nose to spite your face. I mean, we need it too.
yes.
So, TSMC is building or started building a plant here in Osaka in April. And I actually used to work for Nishimoto Chemtech in Tsuruhashi, Osaka, they make semiconductors, and I used to do the translate the PowerPoint presentations and stuff. So I had to learn. I don't have to know the science or anything. I just know I have to know how to say it at least. So
Yeah, but
I don't have to understand it. But I do understand it because I was interested in it,
I think you should
but not all of
explain.
it.
I think you should explain how important TSMC is. Like most of the chips that you
Yeah.
use in your computer, as long as it's
All
not Intel, it's
these
from
are advanced.
TSMC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the advanced semiconductors. This isn't like the type that's in a printer or these are the automobiles and things like this, right?
Like
And complex machinery.
AMD, Nvidia, like, and their production capacity has been completely blown out during COVID. Like they've had as many foundries as possible open, and they have not been able to quell the market's need for advanced semiconductors at all, and that's
Hmm.
probably why they're opening in Osaka.
Yeah, and Japan doesn't make that many advanced semiconductors. They used to. That's the thing. Before Taiwan, Japan was the semiconductor capital, but it's moved. But a lot of that was it's in reality, if you really zoom in, it's Japanese people making stuff in Taiwan.
Well, yeah, this has been the
When you
general.
look at TSMC, it's a bunch of Japanese people working in Taiwan. It's cheaper labor, cheaper rules. There's reasons, why they moved out, but
Well, yeah, and
it's
yeah, during the 70s and 80s, it was not uncommon for Japanese engineers to go on trips to South Korea and Taiwan to teach them how to make advanced technology. So Japan has been
mhm.
like the flying goose that led the pack, and Taiwan and South Korea are just hangers
It's
on.
weird because it's reversed now because South Korea is number two, and Samsung and these South Korea is a larger economy than Russia, right? They're the 10th biggest in the world. Japan is second or third. I would say third. China's number two, but definitely not per capita though. Uh, South Korea used to be poor as some of the poorest African countries. Like they were almost dead last. Like right after the Korean War, almost all the industry in Korea had been in the north, near China, and the south is just this agrarian kind of underdeveloped area. And so, yeah, Korea got cut in half, but the advanced half was in the north. And this just shows you the difference between capitalism and communism too, because now North Korea is like dead last, and South Korea is 10th in the world, which for only having like 65 million people is impressive. And Samsung has taken off, and now South Korea makes more advanced semiconductors than Japan. But where something's located doesn't mean like, mm, I mean, look at all the Toyota trucks that are in the United States, right? It's a Japanese company and all, but they just sort of own it, and Americans are building them now. You know, but I don't know. It's it's something that they have the know-how how to do. So if it does have to get moved out of Taiwan, it'll just end up in Naha or Osaka or Nagoya or something, and that's what they'll do.
Yes, but the transition
But
period will be brutal. Like there will
it's
be,
going to be because we don't have yeah, we cannot even wait a month, right? So
yeah, we can't.
good thing they're building
Oh,
one in Osaka. That might be built. I mean, they started in April. And I'm sure the US would like to spread it, around. Let's build something in Cali or whatever. That's probably why Pelosi's there. She's invested in all these things. And what she'll probably do is say, why don't you bring TSMC to her state? Uh, Her husband will invest in it, and then she'll guarantee you're going to get subsidized so you get all the initial capital you want and take off and build them there. But then I was thinking, well, hold on. We never manufacture anything. So what's the real deal?
well,
Maybe she's just gonna
well,
give aid packages to Taiwan that are earmarked on the things that she's about to buy stock in.
well. The thing is that stock she bought in Nvidia, who is largely produced, which is produced by TSMC. She sold that at a loss after public outrage. So apparently, just asking her at a press conference about her husband's stock trades makes her sell them at a loss. So every press conference, they should just ask her about stuff her husband bought, and that should just be the standard, because then she will lose money, which is good.
I mean, he's made like $100 million on stock trades. Either he's a super genius at picking, or he knows who's about to get money from the government purse.
Yeah, but
Which is why the government should not be in the business of picking winners and losers in the marketplace.
yeah, but what I want to know is who is the aide in her office that's responsible for reading the bills and then giving investment tips? Because Nancy isn't reading those bills. So she has like a TLDR aide that gives her the stock tips and then she says those to her husband, right?
I'm sure she's got legislative assistants that are writing and reading and doing everything.
Yes.
I mean, this woman's a drunk. She is a drunk. She knows when she's going to publicly be on camera at the stand and she's still drinking and she gets up there and just slurs all over the place and yeah, banging her gaudy jewelry on the desk and stuff. She's embarrassing. And that's the number 3 person. And she went on Air Force 2, which is what Kamala uses, right? Remember Kamala Harris? They sent her to prevent the war in Ukraine, basically guaranteeing there would be war because that woman is not a statesman and
Well,
should not be vice president.
yeah, but she's wearing a blue dress and she identifies as she, her, if you saw that clip.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. What's the point of saying I'm wearing a blue dress?
I maybe
I mean, are you
blind people.
describing it to well, how would they know what blue is?
Well, blind people who lost their sight. It's a very specific minority. Blind people who
Okay,
knew
someone who
colors.
had sight and then became blind,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. And we
Okay.
gotta placate those big major electorate that we have to teach about colors of our dresses as if they care. Like You would.
I was waiting for someone who was like, I identify as she, her, and I'm wearing a blue dress. And someone be like, what color's your underwear? Just like go ahead and drag it into that. Like, can you imagine?
Yes.
Fudge.
Oh, and we had trouble in Serbia too, but I guess you want to stay on Taiwan and Japan. Uh,
Oh,
the military activity in Japan, it's quite large. There's a lot of troops.
th-
Uh,
there's a lot more than there usually is for sure. And
uh,
I asked around, I had the bartenders because that's where they go, is
yeah,
bartenders and the clubs that let them in anyway. And they're like, "Oh yeah, so many more." And then when I made a post about it, I got contacted by a few servicemen who said, "Yeah, we have 400 plus new Marines, and they're bringing them in."
yeah,
Same again, you're in the same stories in Guam.
yeah. And when we're talking about these troops, we're not referring to monkeys. These are different
Ah,
troops.
jeez. Some of them act like monkeys, I guess, but yeah, these are soldiers, sailors. I mean, whatever, you know what I mean. Yeah, there's hundreds of editions on all these bases, so there I'm sure that costs a lot moving all those people around.
Yeah, and
But they don't care. It's other people's money.
yeah, but there's been media reporting that Biden said to Nancy, "Don't go," and I don't buy it for a second because Biden had that slip up where he said that they would defend Taiwan if it was attacked, which marks a change in U.S. policy of strategic ambiguity. And Nancy Pelosi going to the island is kind of a it kind of reinforces that message that the U.S. Is willing to imply a threat of military retaliation in the case of a
Do you know what her
Chinese.
play was?
Oh,
How she played this? So the last like U.S. uh she's not a diplomat, I guess the government person of that stature to visit was 25 years ago. It was Newt Gingrich. As she said, no one complained when a man visited Taiwan, only a woman. That's what she went with. First of all, first of all, they absolutely they absolutely did complain when Newt Gingrich visited. And they call that a huge mistake. And so you can't really point to a mistake to justify the next mistake. That actually makes it worse. But her way of spinning it is you didn't complain it was a man. It's because I'm a woman.
well, then they
No,
should.
it's because you're a drunk, power hungry American. We've seen your policy in Libya. We've seen your policy in Syria and Iraq and so on, and nobody wants you here. You're like the one of the four horses of the apocalypse.
Well, then they should just send Rachel Levine or Richard Levine, the admiral in the Navy.
He's it, whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, because nobody can tell because it's too hard to keep the two opposing genders in your head. So you just say, yeah, we send it. It arrived to Taiwan and it met with
Did you
leaders.
see it posing with the other the bald guy with the lipstick and the high heels?
Oh yeah, the furry. No, he's not a furry. He's like a puppy. I puppykin. Is that what they call it?
I don't know. He
He
dresses
does.
people up in like a dog
Yeah,
mask with a leash.
yeah. And he's about to
And
teach the
anyway,
nation about nuclear uh, waste. That's his role in the
and
administration.
he looks like he's been swimming in it.
Yeah.
I was like, is that what happens from nuclear waste? He puts red lipstick not only on his lips but around his lips, like an actual clown makeup, right? Ugh, gross. Where's the dress? Like, really, is this our best and brightest? Speaking of that, that was an old motto, the best and brightest. The army's not like that now. They're letting in people with mental problems and criminal history because they don't have enough people because the vaccine mandates made so many people quit. Good job, Joe.
Well, could you say it's the best and brightest? Because they're
Trite.
worn, trite. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, they're worn out. We're kind of sick of it.
well, they keep what's trite is the mistakes that they keep repeating the same things over and over again. Have you seen the CIA's new recruitment ad? It was just some, I don't know, some kind of minority lesbian with a bunch of disorders. She's like, it's not gonna hold me down. The patriarchy, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, yeah, that's what we want. Mentally unstable people in the CIA, because what could go wrong?
Yeah, but haven't you seen that show Homeland? She was unstable and she was in the CIA and she did great, even though she was bipolar and on multiple medications. Oh.
No,
No,
I've
that
never seen it.
actually okay. Well, in the show, the CIA actually gets
But
blown up by a terrorist.
as I was saying, so to make it real clear, I hate Nancy Pelosi and I hate Xi Jinping. And I told everyone on Substack they're not going to shoot down her plane. They're not going to sink a carrier ship or, like a lot of people were just losing their minds. However, that could happen. And I wouldn't think it is a high chance, but it would have been zero chance if she just didn't go. And why? Even if it was a 1% chance, and this is more like 30 or 40%, they're pissed. Um, why the fuck would you go? I mean, the gains are not worth the risk. You could start a world war over something so petty. And
Well,
China was looking for an excuse. And I think the only reason they're not doing it is because they're so close to getting it politically
yeah,
that
electorally, like
there's
the
no reason.
yeah,
Yeah.
even the Kuomintang, which is the party founded by Chiang Kai-shek, is for a one China policy. So, and they're kind of
Yeah,
and
at least saying
yeah, they're
why can't they just be an independent country and not be an ally of the United States? Say the U.S. will never have military here. Da 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 da. Da. We'll work with you. Something something. Yeah, they talked about confederating, but they already lied to Hong Kong about this. No one's gonna believe them. And it would suck for Taiwan to be under Xi Jinping's rule. It would suck for the world if China suddenly had half the world's advanced semiconductors. That would suck.
well, I think the well we can take some lessons from the Hong Kong scenario here, where Hong Kong was a British protectorate or colony, I guess you would call it, until 1999, and then they stopped being a colony and they became part of China. But then the National Endowment for Democracy and a bunch of Western think tanks started agitating with protests in their country, and China brought the hammer down. So it seems that like if you cause trouble for the CCP, you will not have freedoms, as long as you just stay relatively uh, docile.
I think it was
You can retain.
97, not 99,
Yes, you
but
might be right.
small point.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it was like July 97, somewhere in there. Because I remember it was like shortly after high school.
Uh,
And anyway, it's just a couple years difference, but yeah, because it was yeah, because the British like, oh, we'll take it 100 years. So yeah, they thought that was forever. Mm-mm. It would have been 1897 to 1997.
yes.
Anyway, they
But I'm making
Hong
it.
Kong was it? I went to Hong Kong once when it was like 40 degrees. It was shortly after the transition, and nobody was happy about it. But one of the things they were doing that set shit off there is uh they're like extraditing Hong Kong businessmen and stuff. People basically without saying it for the crime of being political dissidents. And so
Yes.
they wanted to try them in China and freeze their assets and all that. And I said, hell no. They didn't like that at all.
Yeah, but what's the result? Now nobody in Hong Kong has political freedom. Like, you try to agitate
Right.
to win your freedom, and now nobody has it, and demonstrations are being shut down, and it's all like it's a like
They
like as
they were more pro yes than Portland.
yeah, but like the thing is like as long as you don't use your freedom, you can have it. The moment you start using it, you'll lose it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. They don't care about you have the freedom of speech until you start saying stuff that's against the system.
Yeah.
Someone posted that Ron Paul video today and reminded me, it's like, yeah, he won the state of Maine and Iowa, and they just lied. And even where he got second, they would just not. They would just go first, third, fourth, remove his name. Why is the entire media against Dr. Paul? Because he's a threat to the system. And the second time they ran, they came out with the racist newsletters. He didn't write them. They weren't racist. And it's been addressed a million times. But they had to dig something to cancel you on race, sex, sexual orientation. That's how you cancel somebody.
Well, yeah, that's another example of using your freedom to say something the system doesn't like. And here they just do a media campaign to tarnish your name, and that's how they get you out of the running.
It's one of the ways, yeah.
Yeah, and if they're pressed, they will use the full force of the state, but as they've done with people in January 6th.
Well, Pelosi had no business being in Taiwan, even though I don't think that's going to start a war. Why roll the dice? And now Taiwan's going to face some sanctions from China. It's already started. Like I said, the sand, citrus fruit, and fish. That is going to hurt their businesses. And, forget about tourism when war is lingering, right? So that'll die. But what if the China says, you know what? It's America behind this. It's Pelosi doing this. And the moment she leaves, they could take like the Matsu Island chain away from Taiwan. What's America gonna do about it? Turn around and go back and defend it?
Yeah,
I
no,
really don't think they can.
no.
I don't think they can.
Well, it's also like how many global hotspots can we have at the same time for the U.S. to manage? Like we've already seen stories of Western countries running out of weapons because they're shipping them to Ukraine as quickly as possible. Uh, and if there's a conflict with China, that's too much on the plate.
They can spread too thin.
Yeah,
And that relates to, I mean, NATO's spread too thin too. They're completely reliant on the US and I guess to a degree Turkey. That's the only one with substantial military power. And the Russian bear is just whooping ass right now in eastern Ukraine.
oh, but don't you support the new thing, Taiwan? I've seen a lot of leftists have adopted a Taiwanese flag in their profile pictures. Uh,
I do support Taiwan, but I don't think sending Pelosi over there eases this. It just makes the situation worse. Like I get it, I get all the arguments. I hate all these Republicans and Democrats. Like we got to be show we're tough, blah blah blah. You can't act tough. You lost to the Taliban. You're done, right? That is such a stupid reason. We got to make the world fear us again. So let's go, flex our nuts on Taiwan.
well,
Uh-uh.
I have a different perspective to bring to you. What if Nancy Pelosi is a sovereign citizen and she's just exercising her right to freely travel anywhere she pleases? Okay.
You have the freedom to do like just because you're allowed to do something doesn't mean you should. Like that's such a silly argument. I can travel here if I want to. Like, yeah,
Well, the
yeah,
thing
you're
is,
allowed.
she's a U.S. government official. She's an elected representative. She has the entire weight
Hmm.
of the U.S. on her shoulders, and she should use that power and that responsibility in a responsible manner and not try to invoke tensions with a nuclear power. Okay. We've been streaming for
Well,
40 minutes.
oh really?
Yes.
Jeez. Well, I got to pack for this trip and everything, and I got some people down there. They're gonna fill me in what's been going on with troop rotations and stuff. A lot of it's just a large waste of money and a bunch of saber rattling, so both sides can justify budgets for their own respective MICs. But it's this is how it starts, and the US is playing chicken with China. The problem is you're playing chicken on a tricycle and they're in an 18 wheeler. Maybe they don't want to run over a bike, but if push comes to shove, uh, that will not turn out well. I mean, I know China lacks fuel, air-to-air fuel, and they lose a lot, but they have 79 submarines. They have a pretty sizable navy. It's in their backyard. The logistics are in their favor. Uh, if they want to take Taiwan, they could. And the little dinky portion of the U.S. fleet that's out there is just not going to be enough. They'd have to utilize their bases in Japan and Korea, and then I mean Korea would stay out of it because they'd be swallowed by China very quickly. They're attached to them by the land, so not a good idea. I saw North Korea condemning Pelosi's visit too. Like, way to go, giving them an ally. Just everywhere they go, they destroy whatever they touch. Like, when have they made something better?
Uh, Kosovo?
Look at the people they visited with. They, they, yeah, or Syria, Iraq, Libya, Lebanon, just wherever
Somalia?
they go. Hmm. Somalia, Ukraine, especially. I guess it is better if you live in Crimea. I probably have a better life than when they're part of Ukraine.
I saw reports that pensioners in Crimea actually got an increased payout because they're now part of Russia instead of Ukraine. But I haven't been able to find that source again. But it's very hard to find stuff about politically, um politically, uh, com- politically
Compelling?
politically fraud stories. Like if there's a piece of writing about how this is good for Crimeans, that's almost impossible to find on the English language internet.
Yeah, I mean, all they allow is propaganda.
Yeah.
Do you see that over in Taiwan, everybody has to still wear a fucking mask?
Oh
Like, so you got
no.
a drunk lady wearing a mask in her face. Just us waiting for her to start busting out Chinese.
Well, yeah, we saw that story from or that video from Melbourne with kids in the pool wearing a mask as they're swimming underwater. Is that real? That can't be real.
Oh, it can be.
Ugh.
I've seen worse.
Okay.
Unreal. Unreal, but real.
Yeah.
I We came that close. I mean, they did live action fire. They were pissed off. Uh, and the State Department said no. The Pentagon said no. The president said no.
Yeah, but
and she did it anyway.
I don't believe the president meant it because he could have just told that U.S. Air Force flight to, hey, you're not going there, turn around. Like she has no ability to command that plane. She did that with the blessing of Joe Biden or Ronald Klain or whoever is like in charge of the day-to-day business of running America at the moment because it's not Joe Biden.
He doesn't know where he is.
Yeah.
They're just, it's almost like Weekend at Bernie's with that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to know the movie, I think.
Oh, well, I know the reference. They paraded around a dead body for a weekend. I haven't seen the movie,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so. I've seen the reference so many times with Biden for 2 years now. It's just been Weekend and Bernie's references all the time. Uh,
All right, well, I gotta pack.
yeah, yeah. Good luck with that.
Hope my plane doesn't crash and burn.
Oh yes. Be aware of North Korean rockets.
It's
Oh
just, I can't believe that this is how we solve problems still, is like shooting at rockets at each other's cities. I can't believe people are this savage. I'm just disgusting.
yes.
All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow then.